You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the relationship engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisett Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to 90 Days Soulmate with Lisett
and Jim.
And today we have special guests.
Sandy D'Souza,
Sandra Grimaldo,
Christina D'Souza,
and Daniel D'Souza.
And they're here with us in our studio to talk about many different things. They don't even know what we're talking about yet, which is the good thing. I want to start off with a question for your kids, if you don't mind. So you guys are here on vacation, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
All right. So how have vacations and travel changed your view of the world?
Whenever we go on holiday, we usually explore the local things, and I feel like the local things make it make the place that we're visiting so much more immersive, because touristy areas, they're just made for people who, you know, are just coming for a bit.
But we do see touristy areas too.
We do as well.
Like, we see all the sights and things.
Yeah.
But what's different about seeing a local area than a tourist area?
A local area, it shows you a way of living.
Yeah, you experience different cultures.
So I have to ask your parents, your children have an accent that we're very unfamiliar with here in New Jersey. So we're wondering, where are you guys from?
well, I was originally born in Cardiff, Wales, to parents of Indian origin, so they were born in southwest India. And I was born and brought up in Cardiff, Wales, and then at the age of, let me think, it was 26, I moved to London. So, yeah. And
so
then
Wales and London?
Yeah, and then I met Sandra in 1999.
Yeah, and coming from Colombia, I born in Colombia, growing in Venezuela, and now half of my life is in London, and it's where I met my husband.
How did you decide that you were going to travel with your kids? Has that been an important part of your lives?
Yeah, so I mean, for most of my life, I've been able to travel. When I was young, I used to travel to India with my parents. And since being a teenager, I've always wanted to travel. So after university, I went for interrailing around Europe for 1 month. So you could get a ticket. I think it was like $250 for 1 month's unlimited train travel all around Europe. So got to see, you know, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Prague, Amsterdam, loads of cities, loads of countries, and had an amazing time. And you know, for me, there's just so much to see in the world. So something that I've always loved, and I've always wanted to travel, and
Right.
it's something that I think that the family should share a passion for, because there's so many cultures, so many things to learn in the world, and it's not just about, you know, being in London.
What did that change about your view of London?
Well, even though I love traveling, I think I definitely want to live in London, because, like, I've realized compared to other places, London is so culturally diverse, which you won't really find in other places. So living in London, you experience all these different other cultures which aren't English, and I think that's really cool.
It's like visiting another country in the same place.
Mm.
And, you know, it's just like you get to try different foods, you get to see different places. And yeah, to me, I love London because of that. Because you know, you see different people.
Did you ever travel to someone's country that you had met in London and then saw how their country was different?
Yes.
I mean, when we went, like, to Colombia, seeing, like, Mummy's
Exactly.
family and how kind of their lifestyle is so different to ours, but yet there's also so many similarities, like spending time with family and doing family activities. And the food, obviously, because, like, Mum will cook us, like, Colombian and Venezuelan food, and having that over there was really nice.
So has it been tough having family all over the world, or was that a plus?
No, it's absolutely a plus. I mean, I think we're both very fortunate. Well, I feel I was very fortunate to have family from another country, but being born and brought up in the United Kingdom. You know, I've got a part of me which is from a different culture, completely different culture compared to the United Kingdom. And whilst I was born and brought up in the UK, when I was young, and my parents used to take me to India, where they were from. They were both from farming stock, so they both lived on farms growing rice and, you know, animals, mangoes, you know, all sorts of alien foods that, you know, weren't that common to the UK. For me as a child, it was just such an amazing experience. I feel really, really lucky to have experienced it. I think that my children, they haven't actually been to India yet, because
they haven't.
because I wasn't born in India, whereas my wife was born in Colombia and then lived in Venezuela. I think she won the argument over where to take the children for holidays. So, but it's my ambition to take the kids to India at some point. Yes.
Yeah, but we consider our kids universal children. If they sometimes I cannot say they are authentic British, authentic. I think they have a little bit of many things. If you see at school, for example, there are 30 students in a classroom, and probably 2 children are born in London. Most of them are from different backgrounds, different countries, and that is so rich that help our kids to understand and to be more empathic, to be more tolerant, and that is a big advantage. And traveling also help with that. When we travel, we use public transport. We try to do as many local things as any other people. Then I think that's the reason they are very adaptable.
So we know that on your way here, you took the bus from Washington to Philadelphia, or should I say train. Your experience with the train is what? Very, very experienced or not?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I mean, you know, and exactly the same as what we would use in the United Kingdom or in Europe. You know, just get a ticket, jump on the train, and, you know, very, very fast, you know, and easy, relaxed way of getting from one city to another, you know, without having to worry about car hire and driving and parking.
Right.
It was very, very straightforward, point to point travel. Yeah, so I felt very relaxed about it. Didn't have any worries about it at all.
Yeah.
But I can say we are not using public transport in a very, how can I say, progress country like USA. We have been in a public transport in a very rural areas where you could be a little bit scared also, because it's like sometimes it's a little bit risky, but it's fun and it's a way to learn different things.
And if you are in that area, which is a risky area, then people are scared of you because they're like, why are they here?
You scare the country, not the country scare you.
So getting back to Daniel and Christina, taking the train, taking public transportation, does it just feel regular, natural, and something that you feel real comfortable doing?
Yeah, I mean, we do it every day going to school. Like, we take the tube every day. I mean, the tube is very like advanced compared to a lot of places, I'd say.
It's one of the most oldest.
And I think one of the best transport systems.
Yeah, definitely. But I have seen a difference between London and here. I think here, because it's relatively new compared to the UK, I feel like Europe in general is so, you know, that they've grown up, let's say, and their transport systems are really well connected because the distance is short, and in America, it's so big that you can't really connect it with transport apart from plane. So I feel like
cars,
yeah. But in London, it's just so easy to get around.
Right.
So, yeah.
And we were talking earlier today about the train system in London and other countries in comparison to here, where I believe the train system in America was originally mostly used for moving materials from one part of the country that was really far away to another part, and that people didn't grow up in the small city that was near another small city, and so there was no interconnection that was easy by train.
Yeah, no, so not just train. Also, when we're talking about the no pathway, so if you want to use or bicycle, it's difficult to go to one area to other in bicycle in United States versus in other country in Europe. It's more easy.
Ah. You guys bicycle around Europe at all?
You can do.
Oh,
It's viable. Yes, I mean, we don't have the crazy distances like you have in the United States. I think mainland Europe, United Kingdom, is much more built up compared to the US. You could, if you took a bicycle from one city to another, you could potentially be just driving through, the desert, for like 2 hours and not see another
Right.
soul. Whereas in the UK, mainland Europe, you're more likely to see civilization.
Sure. We were talking about the states, the United States, and how that the states, even though we're one country, a lot of times the states seem like they're mini countries, that they have
absolutely.
very different rules, very different regulations between the states, what's allowed, what's not allowed. There's a lot of similarities. There's a federal government that ties it together, but it's not like, to me, it's not like Spain. It's not like Germany. It's more like the United States. A state isn't like a country, but the United States isn't like a country either, because there are these differences between the states. And I think you've noticed a little bit about that, or we've talked a little bit about that, from taxing structure to allowing people to own guns, which you guys never heard of. And no, but we're not going to get into the politics of international travel at this moment in time. Have there been any difficulties in getting around? Have you needed to show passports, identification, going from city to city, state to state, or anything that you want to share in a difficulty in traveling?
Specifically in the US?
Whatever, wherever you want to.
Well,
training.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, you went there. So I recently went interrailing with my friends for like 3 weeks around Europe.
What was it called?
Interrailing.
Oh, interrailing. You see,
Yeah.
that's an expression we've never heard.
You've
So.
never
I think in the
Yeah.
United States you might call it Eurail.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're around.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was interesting, trying to figure out how to get from A to B and using trains that we've never, gone on before. Now there was one time, which I haven't actually told my parents,
Oh, this is good. Here we go.
where we got on a bus, and it was in Budapest, and it was me and my friends. We were on a bus, and we hadn't bought tickets because no one else had bought them. We're like, it's gonna be fine. Like, it's like we haven't seen any inspectors. Like, it'll be fine. It was not fine. We got caught, and they charged us, I think 20 euros each. It was me and two of my friends. The rest of the group had gone off on an earlier train because we were slow, and we didn't tell them because like that was too embarrassing. We couldn't let them know. And then a few days later, the same thing happened to them, and we saw them, but we never told them that we also got caught. So yeah, that was a lesson learned, to always pay for tickets.
So is the penalty paid at the point of the infraction, or did you have to go somewhere to pay the penalty? What happened?
Well, it seemed a bit dodgy to me because the guy started like bargaining with us. He said, okay, like for you guys, I'll give you a special discount, or I'll just like make you pay the price of 2 tickets instead of 3. And so, I don't know. We just got off the train. Luckily, it was the stop we had to get off at. But yeah, well, that was embarrassing.
I think for me, this particular trip, I know from experience that the United States is a society that lives around the motor vehicle, and the distances involved can make things quite a challenge if you don't have a car. So, for example, in Washington D.C., we went to the Stephen Hazy Museum, which is part of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, which is near Washington Dulles Airport. So we took the metro to Innovation Center station, which was fantastic. 1 hour, really fast, efficient. So we got to the station, and then we checked, okay, so in order to go to the museum, the only option was to catch a bus, but the buses were every hour, 1 per hour. and we literally just missed the bus by 5 minutes. So we would have had to wait 55 minutes at the bus stop. So we decided, okay, let's just give it a go. So we just sat down, chilled. We had a bit of food, and I think the children were starting to get restless. So we said, okay, what should we do? So we decided to get an Uber to the museum. Now, I think you probably wouldn't have that in mainland Europe or United Kingdom, because you just wouldn't have those distances between, a facility and public transport, or the public transport would be much more frequent.
Because more people would be taking the public transport.
Exactly. So it's all around demand and supply. So
Right.
I guess, we are tourists. We don't have our own motor vehicles, so we were using public transport. But I guess the majority of the people going to the museum, would have been locals or, people from the United States, and they had their own car. So I guess that's a challenge sometimes. Many years ago, I was in Detroit, didn't have a hire car. Similar challenge where I had to wait, in downtown Detroit over an hour just to catch a bus to the Ford Museum. And
wow.
So it's interesting that I don't experience those issues in other countries, but in the US I do. But that's purely down to the fact as to how society lives over here.
Sure, and case in point is today we went to Philly, and I wouldn't have known how to get to Philly other than driving. Or driving to a train station that's maybe 12 miles from here. But we could just drive to Philly, which was 19 miles from here. And there's not the easy way of, where's the bus stop? It's very not typical, not part of life. But that's our little segment on travel. And when we come back on 90 Day Soulmate with Lisett,
Thank you.
we're going to see if there are any more stories that the children have that their parents don't know about. We'll be back after this.
Tired of attracting the wrong type of guy, it was time to give something else a try. She got her computer and started to plan, and created a process to find her man. Soon she went on a perfect date. And then she knew it must be fate. In just 90 days, that is all it took. How she found her match? It is in the book.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
Welcome back to 90 Day Soulmate with Lisett.
And Jim.
Today we're talking with our special guests. Let's see who this. Oh, Stanny
Sandra.
and Sandra and Christina
And Daniel.
about different things. And we started off with travel, but you know what we're going to move into right now? We're going to move into a 2019 movie that we saw. Do you remember the movie called Get Duked? There was a movie in 2019 that we saw, which was kind of a comedy, a little bit mystery, a little bit, I don't want to say horror, but there was a little bit of stress involved.
Mm-hmm.
But it was about these kids that were dropped off in the middle of this place in Scotland, and they had to follow these maps and paths. And we didn't realize that this had anything to do with reality. Mm-hmm. And then today we were told a story about the Duke of Edinburgh. Is that what that is? The Duke of Edinburgh. So what is that? What is the Duke of Edinburgh?
Well, I think it's a way for the the English government to get kids to go out and get off their phones and do things that, well, they have different sections to it. So part of it's volunteering, so you help the local community. Some of it's physical activities, so doing sports, and the third part was learning a skill. And so you have to complete a certain amount of time doing these things. And there's also an expedition. And the expedition, they would ship us off to Wales. We went to Snowdonia, and they dropped us off for 5 days, no phones, with a map. And we just had to, go from A to B, from each camp to the other, for 5 days and 4 nights, carrying our tents and all our food in our bags. And it was definitely an interesting experience, but not one I would do again.
So is this something that is chosen by you to be involved in, or you have to do it as part of your school?
Well, I'm not sure about... No, I think you just volunteer to do it, but my dad definitely was like, Tina, you have to do this.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that?
Well, the Duke of Edinburgh award scheme. So it was actually created by the Duke of Edinburgh, so the husband to the Queen. And it was a way of actually sort of instilling confidence, bit of discipline, and just encouraging young people to go out there
And get lost?
And to get lost, and to build skills that they wouldn't necessarily build in their normal day-to-day lives. So there's like 3 levels. There's bronze, silver, and gold. So the different levels, obviously, the higher up, it depends on your age. Yeah, so generally, I think you start at around 15 years old, and you're able to do the bronze level. And once you've achieved that, which is basically, doing certain things, it could be volunteering in society, it could be going on an expedition. There's various things that you can do. And so once you've hit the bronze level, then you can go up to silver, etc., all the way up to gold. So yeah, it gets progressively more difficult as you go up the levels and the older you get as well. But it's been a very, very successful way of getting young people to get out there, to volunteer, to build confidence in themselves.
So, Daniel, what do you think about your sister doing this?
So at the beginning, I was kind of nervous about her going into this, but I feel like learning new ways to, like, new hobbies. I feel like the Duke of Edinburgh is a challenge for people.
It was definitely a challenge.
It was definitely a challenge. And my sister went into this, and after the first, what did you do first?
The first practice.
Was it practice or camping?
Practice.
Practice.
Practice is camping.
Okay, practice is camping. So after she said, yeah, okay, it was a bit meh.
A bit. Oh God, it was horrible.
You didn't like it. But I feel like what the prize that you get, or what you
Satisfaction.
the satisfaction of completing it, because Duke of Edinburgh is hard. It's not easy. And
Are you gonna do it?
Huh?
Are you gonna do it?
I want to do it. Yeah.
Fair
Personally,
enough.
I
Oh,
wanna
we
do it.
can write that one down.
Okay,
What do you
we
think?
have-
You,
we have
you're gonna note that he's going to do it.
It's recorded. We've got video evidence now. And
We have evidence.
I'll be playing this back on a regular basis to make sure that he does sign up and do it.
I hope
Because it is voluntary, yeah, you don't have to do it. So it's something that schools and you can even do it outside of school. But it's something that if they do it, I think they will get a lot out of it. And I think when you're young, you don't have that much experience of life. Yeah, I think we're all about us parents wrap our kids up in cotton wool, and I think they need to be able to go out on their own, or with young people, to basically just get that confidence and get the life skills that they probably are lacking, by us looking after them.
So, Sandra, who would you be more concerned of doing the Duke of Edinburgh?
Well, at the beginning, I was very worried about my daughter because I thought she was a very fragile girl. But now she demonstrates how strong, and not just physically, but mentally. I really, really admire her because mentally she is very strong. And my son, he have, of course, a fantastic skill. He is a team player. He is a leader also. He like to leader. He have amazing skills with locating. How do you say?
what's it called?
When they read maps,
Orientation.
orientation skill. He is amazing. Then I am very confident that he is going to do a really good job.
You mean he likes to boss people around, basically?
Now there's high expectations. So what do you think about that?
I mean, I definitely hope I plan to do it in the future. But I just don't want to. I just don't want to give up, because after all, it is the satisfaction and what you get after completing.
So
Yeah.
So Christina was telling us earlier today about having to go over mountains, through valleys, through fields, water all the way, marsh all the way up to her waist. And did you expect that going into this?
So my friends told me it would be bad, and they were like, Tina, it's going to be worse than whatever you think it's going to be like. And they were right. But luckily, the first, because you do 2 expeditions, one is the practice, and they're both 5 days. So the first one was definitely worse than the second one. So the first one prepared me for the second half. But yeah, it was definitely way tougher than I thought it would be because of COVID, I got to basically skip bronze and silver and went straight to gold. Bronze is, I think, one night, but we didn't have campaign because of COVID, and we just got sent to Richmond Park, which is a local park for us, so we didn't even need to use the maps, and we just kind of wandered around London. Yeah,
That's funny.
So yeah, it was, even though it was gold, it was the first time I'd ever been put in a situation like that, and I had no idea what to expect. But yeah.
Sandra, when Christina came home, was she changed, do you think? Did she act differently?
No, she didn't act differently. But I think probably I changed because I didn't see her as a fragile girl anymore. My mind changed because she came and she was very exhausted, very tired, very wet, very muddy clothing. But no, and I was very proud of her.
I saw my daughter as being weathered. So, rain, battered by the rain, battered by the winds of Wales.
Right.
So, she was exposed to the elements, but she had to literally survive on her feet, carrying a huge, a backpack, with a metal, frame, and it was, she had to. There was no asking Daddy to pick the bag up for her or do this or do that. She had to do it all on her own or with her team, and I think it was a case of her working with her other school friends to work as a team, because it wasn't just individual effort. They were helping each other out, and I think there were others, and I think Christina mentioned that there were others in the group who were like struggling, and I think they all helped to sort of inspire each other just to carry on and get to the end of it. And otherwise, there is an option that they could just SOS on a very primitive
Some people
on a very primitive mobile phone that they get given in case of emergencies, but generally they don't have access to mobile devices. So that is offered to them in case there's an emergency. But I guess none of them felt that that even though they were tired, wet, hungry, at no point did any of them feel they were going to quit. They wanted to finish it. So. Which I thought was impressive.
So I also heard that at some point that even if someone wanted to use the primitive mobile phone, that they weren't working. Is that what I heard?
I think it was just a one-off. I think it was just one of the groups who were a bit unlucky, and I think some other groups were using the phone to play the snake game. So the battery ran out, so that might have been their fault.
Not a snake game. Yeah.
Another time was that another school or another group went to a farm, and they were being, they were being kept. How can I say?
In my DV.
Yeah, in your DV.
The
DV is Duke of Edinburgh.
Are you talking about the private school?
The private school.
What happened with the private school team?
So the private school, they were doing the same mission.
Same expedition. Yeah.
Same expedition, and along the way during the night.
Okay, well, basically, we were really unlucky with our first expedition because the weather was really terrible.
It was a heavy storm, yeah.
There was a heavy storm, torrential rain, really bad hail, really strong winds. And the private school who were doing the trip at the same time as us, they all got sent home but they got sent to a hotel that night because the conditions were dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
And we still had to, go out and camp and try and light our fires. It didn't work, but we were lucky that the farmer was kind enough to, let us stay in the barn.
Stay in the barn.
Yeah.
So what do you think is thinking of 3 important skills that you need to have for do this kind of the project? What do you think?
I'd say the most important one is probably determination and not wanting to give up, because there were so many times I wanted to give up, but just saying no, I need to achieve this because then I can say that I've done it. So no matter how hard and horrible it gets, at least I can say that I've done all this. So having the determination to actually finish it is very important. Good teamwork as well. I mean, there were definitely times where myself and other members of the team got a bit frustrated at each other, but you just kind of get over it. Everyone's going through it together, so you have to be aware and mindful that, other people are feeling the same things as you. So to be like empathetic with them. And the third thing, like be optimistic, like
Positive.
yeah, stay positive, because things are gonna get bad, but there are also some really I have really good memories from it, like because we were in the middle of nowhere, even though there was no civilization, we got to see the most beautiful stars and have the most amazing chats with people.
So I have a question. Your mom had said that she didn't think you changed when you came back. Do you think you changed? And do you think because of how your mom saw you, that communication with your mom changed?
I wouldn't say that my personality changed, but I'd say that it definitely taught me things that I didn't really know before. Like, it definitely helped when I went interrailing, like saying like, okay, this actually isn't that bad compared to what I've gone through. And so it definitely makes you see things in a more positive way, or like it makes you able to adapt in different situations. Like if you're lost and you need to figure out where to go using maps. And I think one of the things that also really helped us was just if we saw local people, which is rare, but like asking them like where to go or if we're going in the right direction. So that was definitely useful.
So having the confidence to approach people and ask them questions.
And setting up tents, which was a skill I didn't need until we were at the beach the other day.
Yeah.
And I was helping Daniel set up a tent.
But probably when I said that you didn't change, it's not because it's because I changed my perception about you. You didn't change because I think you always been like that, but because you weren't in that situation to prove. But very deep, now I realize that you were able to do that kind of thing. That's the reason she didn't change, but I changed my perception about her.
That's
interesting.
It is very interesting. So the last thing I wanted to say is something we talked about earlier, which was that when you do something that is physically tough, where you're physically working, and it may, I think I said this, that it may give you a taste of where we would be without civilization, without being able to work with others, without having teamwork, without having transportation, without having cities, without having the dependency and interdependency on each other. So maybe it gives you an idea of that life isn't easy, that life is tough, but it's what we make out of it. And part of that is having a good team and good parents and good friends to go through that with.
And be positive. So
be
I
positive.
like the three topics that she picked, because first, so that you have a target and you follow your target. Based upon that, you can be frustration, you can be tired, you can be hurt. And the second, the see the path in the positive way and understand that you're not alone. So when you understand the people around you, based upon it's different, but this is become more rich, the life, because everybody is different. So agree with the different, the other, make a team and move forward. That is the prize.
So in summary, that was determination, teamwork, and being positive. Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
So that's our second segment. We want to be determined, positive, and a good teamwork here. Thank you. We'll be back with more 90 Day Soulmate after this message.
Tired of attracting the wrong type of guy, it was time to give something else a try. She got her computer and started to plan, and created a process to find her man. Soon she went on a perfect date. And then she knew it must be fate. In just 90 days, that is all it took. How she found her match? It is in the book.
90 Days Soulmate is brought to you by 90 Days Solutions.
Welcome back to 90 Days Soulmate with Lisett
And Jim.
and
Standing.
Sandra.
Christina.
Daniel.
our special guest today. Today we're talking about all sorts of things. We're talking about, what did we talk about?
We have a
Vacations,
full house. Yeah,
Duke of Edinburgh, the trials. And now we're going to talk about reverse psychology. Is there have been a time in your life that your parents used reverse psychology on you, And what was it, and did it work?
I mean, I can't really think of anything you guys have done, but I know definitely with Cecily, our baby cousin, we've used a lot of reverse psychology on her.
What's an example of that then?
Like,
So, actually, yeah, go on.
no, I'm still thinking.
Okay, fine. So whenever, so I think she likes to be naughty, let's say. And sometimes when we tell her, okay, come with me, she'll go far away.
Okay.
And this is like simple reverse
Sure,
psychology. And so when we tell her, okay, go away, yeah, walk away, she starts coming to me. So that's sort of simple reverse psychology, like, you know.
That's a great, easy example to understand. So do you think that your parents ever use that with you, or do you ever use that with your parents?
Actually, I remember one time where you were playing with a toy that was mine, and I wanted to play with that toy, and I started complaining to my mum, and so my mum told me, just leave him alone. Eventually, like, he'll get bored. Tell him you don't want to play with the toy anymore. And it worked, and he stopped playing with it.
So I think I may have been attention seeking at that point. I was young, but I may have been attention seeking at that moment. So I feel like, yeah, reverse psychology did right then.
So did you know that's what you were doing, or are you just like trying to stop the argument?
I need to be very honest. I think with our kids, we very rarely use that technique because they always been very easygoing. They accept, after few explanations, they accept whatever we think we consider is the best for them. And then sometimes I think we don't use that kind of technique with them. What do you think?
No, yeah, I think we've been quite lucky. Our children, if we ask them, generally, if we ask them to do something, that they do it. I think they're probably getting a little bit more difficult as they're getting older in their teenage years. Okay. But when they were very young, we were very lucky. We got away with it because we hear stories from friends and family where they're finding sometimes a struggle to manage their kids. Whereas I think we got off really lightly. But now I'm kind of sensing a bit of no and being a little bit tricky to manage. But yeah,
and I think it can be sometimes a natural defense in communication. I know that with at least one of my children or one of our children, that if you try to give advice, they think of the alternative advice. So sometimes you have to just say, what do you think? Here are some of the ideas I'm thinking, but not which one is the one that I would recommend to you. And it's partly, and we know about, like, if you say no, they're like, well, if dad's saying no, then why should I say no? Why shouldn't I? And it can be the opposite. And not that you go into coming up with the exact opposite of what you want them to do, but you may say, okay, I need a different approach, because when the adult is telling the soon-to-be adult, because as kids grow up and they want to be more and more individual, and they want to be more and more making their own decisions, sometimes they're not saying no just to be negative. They're saying no because they want to make their own choice. And I want to make my own choice, so I'm not going to do what you're suggesting, not because I want to be opposite of what you're saying, it's because I want to make my own choice. Yeah. So that's something maybe I've had to learn, is because I know I'm that way with Lisett.
Really? How?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think a lot of times when Lisett says, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? You want to do this? My first answer is no, because I don't actually know what I want to do. And so if I say yes, it's not that I want to do, I may actually want to do what she's asking, right? But I have to decide. And so now I realize that I say that a lot of times. I say no at first, and she's like, why are you always saying no? And then I had to think about it. And it was not that I don't want to do what she's asking, but I want it to be my decision. So if she says, do you want to do something? If I say yes, it wasn't my decision. But if I say no, I think about it, and then I say, yeah, let's do it. She's like, you're always changing your mind.
And then I use the reverse psychology with you.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that technique works different with children and with partners.
And it changes. It changes over a lifetime, I think, as we learn more.
Yeah.
So, and I guess we could go with anyone on this question. How do you balance emotion and logic when making a decision about something? Like maybe it's where to go on vacation, or who to spend time with, or what movie you're going to watch, or what are you going to do tonight?
Well, when it comes to choosing holiday destinations, that's usually up to them.
But what we do is mainly democracy. I think is like
Yeah, because everyone always wants to do their own thing.
their own thing. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I'm sorry, Dad, but I feel like I feel like you're a different person in this family. Like you
You're from another planet.
you want to do different things. So, for example, you like to walk. You like to see lots of things. But we like to
Be lazy.
be lazy.
Watch 6 episodes of a show in a row. I got it. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I feel like we need to find a balance.
Yeah,
But which we always do. But
sometimes.
sometimes,
I love this show. Keep going.
but yeah, I feel like it's democracy. We fight a lot about what we're gonna do because, as you said, everyone wants to do their own thing. So, to be honest, on vacation, usually we're actually like not in our best moods because everyone wants to do their own thing, and like everyone doesn't have their head straight. Like, you know, everyone wants to go there, everyone wants to go there, and it's like, we don't have coordination. You know?
So you need to find a compromise.
We need to find a compromise.
The thing is, like, our travel style have changed because also our kids have changed a lot. At the beginning, when we used to traveling together, it was very easy. 2 adults having fun, doing whatever they want. When you have little kids, then it changed a little bit. But because they are little, they do whatever we said. We take all decisions. We don't pay attention what they wanted because they are little and they obeyed. That was our style before. But now I start thinking, okay, they are no little kids. They have their own opinion. They want taste, the different things. Then I try to negotiate more now with them and to think, okay, what they want. Because now I cannot impose all my opinion or all my desires. That is my approach now. And we try to use that approach with Stan also.
Does this sound familiar to you, Stan?
Yeah, I think I noticed that the kids are following their mum more than me. Probably because I like to see and do everything. I like to do as much as I can in a particular location, whereas I think the kids have just been more than happy just to sit on a chair and pull out their mobile phone and just surf the internet. But for me, I like to do because I know I'm only going to be in a location for a very short period of time, so I just want to make the most of that time. You see. So.
How about, I know that you traveled with Christina to Paris.
Yeah,
in the Olympics.
Yeah, so this year.
What happened there?
This year I actually had individual trips with the kids. So back in the Easter vacation, I took Daniel to Berlin. So we went there for, I think it was 4 or 5 days, and we went to Wolfsburg. We flew to Berlin, went to Wolfsburg at the Volkswagen factory and museum, stayed the night there, and then we stayed in Berlin for a couple of nights and saw the museums and the sites, and it was an opportunity for Daniel to speak a bit of the German that he's learning in school, but also to understand a bit of the history of Germany and, in particular the Second World War, which obviously is a major thing over there. So
how is the balance when it's 101 versus the 4 together? I want to see this picture. So Daniel, tell me how you feel when it's 101.
So I feel like when we're as a 4, there's more people that we can attention seek to, whereas 1 and 1 it's you can't. It's just one-on-one. You can't really moan to someone. You can't complain, and you just have to go with it. And to be honest, I think that's good because it's like when we were younger, we just followed them, do what they say, and in the end, that has more coordination. Whereas 4, everyone want to go there. Everyone want to go
there are
there,
more
so-
opinions on it's all of us. Because I found when we went to Paris, it was really easygoing. I mean, you wanted to kind of walk and see everything, and it was very tiring. But then there was also a day where I kind of got to do my own thing. I saw a friend, so it was like finding the balance of what people want to do. But definitely when there's all 4 of us, because there's more opinions, it's definitely a bit more challenging.
But you believe that you make a like the 2 team in the travel, because sometimes
your dad said that the last comment he started repeating to me is like, apparently I am the source of disturbing, or I am the source of difference. And he said he found everything easy traveling without me, because probably I am
maybe you are the first.
Then I was like, okay, I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
But that's interesting, because I was like, well, the thing is, like, I try to think all the time about you, what you like to do, and always talking to him, probably not in the most amicable way, but trying to protecting you, perhaps. And I made a lot of argument with him, thinking about you, but probably it's not the way to do.
To be fair, we need to remember that our trips alone with Dad were like 2-3 days.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas as a family, it's 2 weeks. I don't think I could survive 2 weeks walking. Because I was so tired by the second day. I was exhausted.
I was preparing her for life.
It was the Duke of Stanley.
Exactly. It was. I think. From maybe it's just my opinion. This is like the way I normally travel, but I do like to try and show the children as much as I can in a very short space of time, because I just want them to be able to appreciate a lot. There's a lot to see and do in the places we've been to. These aren't beach holidays. A beach holiday, you go to the beach, sit down, play the water, sand. That's a simple, you don't have to think about it. These are more, you're going to a city, learning about the culture. And I wanted to try and impart some of the knowledge and understanding that I gained when I was traveling to these places.
Right.
And I was also encountering a lot of new stuff as well. And every time I saw something new, I did my best to try and explain to the children what it was about. Because, I'd be really happy if they just took a little bit away from each of these trips, where they learned something, and maybe then in their own time they might want to do some research on these sort of things, and for the future, I'm sure they'll go back to these. Berlin and Paris are 2 amazing places, 2 of the most amazing countries in the world, and I hope it'll inspire them for doing their own thing in other places.
But I think you need to remember that everybody have their own pace to learn and to absorb things. And my point is, like, I want to enjoy also little that simple things. Not necessarily when you go to a city, you need to visit everything. For me, like, visit 2 or 3 things, good quality time, rest, laugh, enjoy. Sit down in a little cafe with them, talking and making jokes. It's different approach. He want to visit everything. He want to see everything, and that's valid. And it's really good, and I admire him a lot. But sometimes I think you need to be a balance, because.
So I think it almost is that you do bring a balance by having differences in how you approach it. Is that you're showing 2 ways of looking at a vacation or a trip. Traveling and visiting a lot of things, and maybe pushing some boundaries and opening up some thoughts that might not have been there, like the Duke of Edinburgh did. The Duke of Stanley, I think, is appropriate. And I don't think that's negative at all. And then you liking to enjoy and being in a place is a different approach to it.
Yeah.
And for them to see both of those and to experience both, I think kind of helps. Well, let me ask, does that help how you view vacation, and can you value both ways?
Definitely. I found that when I went interrailing with my friends, even though my dad wasn't there, I still went to museums and historical sites to just learn about the culture. But at the same time, we also, we went at our own pace. We would stop in like cafes and take breaks. So yeah, I've definitely found that balance doing my own holidays. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
That's good. And with that, we're going to say thank you guys for being part of our show tonight. It was really great to learn a little bit about all these different experiences you guys have had together and individually. Thanks for being part of our show. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
We're just actually going goodbye. Bye, Christine.
You're listening to 90 Day Soulmate with the Relationship Engineers, Jim Golnick and Lisett Guevara, only on LA Talk Radio.